Good evening, good evening, good evening.
Yes, good evening. Thank you all for joining the Gwinnett NAACP. This is part 2 of our municipal election forum. We have some great guests lined up tonight to come out and speak about why you should come out and vote for in the municipal election. This is the last week of early voting. Early voting is from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday of this week. And of course, election day will be on November the 2nd from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at your local municipalities. Right now, again, I'm Edward Paul, the Gwinnett NAACP Political Action Committee Chair and First Vice President. I'm going to turn you over to Adrian, who will be our one of our hosts tonight to get started to introduce our guests.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. As our First Vice President and Political Action Committee Chairperson has stated, my name is Adrian Johnson. I am the Secretary of the Gwinnett County NAACP. We are delighted that you have decided to take a few minutes out of your evening to join us for this municipal election forum. Tonight, we have some exciting guests with us. First, we have Ms. Sherry Villa. We also have Miss Tiffany Hale Carter. We also have Miss Katherine Hardrich. We also have Miss Rosa Steele. And we also have Miss Shania Rivers Devine. And rather than me do a lot of talking about who they are, what they represent, and try to introduce them, what I would like to do is give each of them an opportunity to tell you just a little bit about themselves. And this is in no particular order, but we will start with Miss Shania Rivers Devine. Miss Devine, if you would please enter the stage and tell us, state your name, the office that you are running for, and what led you to run for the office that you are running for.
Well, I actually see myself on screen. My name is Tiffany Hale Carter. I don't want to. I could start if you would like me to.
Go right ahead, please do.
Okay, thank you. So I am Tiffany Hale Carter. As I said, I'm running for Sugar Hill City Council Post 3. A little bit about me. I was born and raised in Alabama. I came to Georgia about 13, 14 years ago and settled into Sugar Hill because I was really drawn to the diversity in the neighborhoods. The children in the neighborhoods it was a rainbow of children. So that really drew me into the neighborhood, into the area. I feel like the best way to get involved in your community and to love on the community is through service. So I started volunteering in different aspects and just giving my time to the city. I was a part of starting an organization called the Black Women's Association of Sugar Hill. We organized the city's first ever Black History Month program and also Juneteenth program. I also run a nonprofit which teaches local kids how to code, as well as serving on the history board to make sure our history is celebrated in the city. So that's a little bit about me. And that's why I'm running, because I would like to be a part of the moving forward in the progression and helping the city progress.
Thank you so much, Miss Carter.
You're welcome.
Edward, is Miss Shania Rivers Divine in the room? And you're on mute, Edward.
Yes, here we go.
Okay, this is Sherry Villa. Miss Villa, if you would unmute yourself and introduce yourself, state your name, the position that you're running for, and let us know why you're running for that position.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me and having these forums where we're able to meet the public and they get a chance to get to know a little bit about us. I know it's a short time. Again, my name is Sherry Vila and I'm running for Lilburn City Council, Post 4. I've lived in the city of Lilburn for over 13 years. It's a beautiful, diverse city here in Gwinnett County. But we've had our city council for roughly 66 years, and we've yet to have a minority elected to city council. So that leads to our voices really not being heard when it comes to the decisions that are made for the city. When you think of diversity, oftentimes you think of ethnicity, but that also includes economic diversity. And so I want to be someone that represents those that are in maybe a lower economic status or group of people. I live in a part of the city that seems to be forgotten as it pertains to development and revitalization. We just feel like we've been left behind, and I really want to be a voice of our community and bridge the gap between the communities that I see that truly exist. I also want to help in the growth and development of our city. It feels like there's been an explosion of growth over the past couple of years, which we know growth is necessary, but it does have an impact on our resources, our schools, our officers, our sewers, our drainage. Those are things that don't seem like they've been taken into consideration with the growth of our city and traffic as well. That's an issue that doesn't seem to have an immediate solution, nor does it seem like our city is really taking in consideration what needs to happen to help us. So I just want to be a voice of the people. I want to serve the community in a capacity where I can invoke change.
Thank you so much, Miss Villa.
All right, you want to move on to the next guest, Adrian? All right, I can introduce our next guest. We have Katherine Hardrich, who is running for City Council in Snellville. We're going to bring her on now to introduce herself and give us an idea why she's running for office.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tonight. Hi, Tiffany. Hi, my other colleagues on the call as well. Thank you for the NAACP for allowing me to speak today. Again, my name is Katherine Hardrich, and I am running for Snellville City Council, Post 5. And I echo what my fellow candidates are saying tonight, that I am running because representation is the bedrock of any city and any community. And Snellville has been around for a century, and we have only had 2 people of color elected to city council. And the second person sits there now today. And that motivated me to be of service and put my name in the hat so that I too can run, so we can ensure that all voices in Snellville is heard. And so I am originally from Detroit, Michigan, and I relocated to Snellville over 20 years ago. And this is where I raised my 3 children. And they all went to South Gwinnett High School, Snellville Middle, and Britt Elementary. And by me running, speaking to all of the citizens that I've come in contact with, I'm learning that a lot of people feel like their voices are not heard. They don't know much about what city council, the role of city council, the role of the mayor, and people did not even know that it was a municipal race. So I feel that it is very important for all of us to get the word out, to inform, to empower, and inspire people to take actionable steps into their own well-being. And so I'm hoping that during this election and this campaign, I'm able to continue to serve the citizens of Snellville and partner with our neighboring cities so we can make Gwinnett a place where all voices are heard, where we have more equitable and inclusive representation on all levels. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hardrich. We're glad to have you with us this evening.
All right, and I'll introduce our last guest or next guest that's waiting in the waiting room. It's Miss Rosa Steele. She's running for City Council in Loganville, Georgia. Let me bring her on now. Ms. Steele, won't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the invite. I'm a native Georgian. I was born in a little small town below Albany, Georgia in 52. My family moved to Atlanta when I was age 11. I grew up on the west side of Atlanta. I came to Loganville by way of my daughter becoming a single parent. After she got divorced in 2008, she began to look for what she thought was the perfect place to raise two young sons, and she chose Loganville. So that meant me as grandma, Mimi, and mom coming out here a lot to make sure everything was good for her while she transitioned to the single mom life. In the process, I fell in love with Loganville. And as I've heard some of the other guests say, Loganville, between 2008, when I first came here, by 2013, it was a whole new place because of so much development. And there's still a lot of development going on around here. But by 2016, with all the back and forth, trying to make sure my family that was here, being my daughter and my two grandsons with her, were the only family in this area. So I was out here a lot. I decided let me just go ahead and find me a nice little spot and make this home. And that's what I did in 2017 is when I made Loganville my permanent residence. And in the course of me doing that, I was living in a senior community in 2018. With all the development, traffic has become a real issue of concern for everyone that live here. It's kind of difficult to move about when to run a 10-minute errand might take you 35, 40 minutes, which is ridiculous. So I went along with the community that I lived in to the city council to ask for a traffic light at an intersection that was a real issue, still is a real issue today. This was 2018. And we were basically told no. And that bothered me with no explanation, just no. So as I communicate and interact with the people that have lived here for quite some time, quite a few years, people of mine that look like me, they just felt like, what they thought or what they think doesn't matter to city council. Some of them, just like I heard some of the other guests say, they wasn't even aware that they could vote for city council people. They thought these were people that the mayor selected and just put in there to do whatever he wanted them to do. So while sitting and looking and listening to all of the complaints and what have you, and trying to encourage people to take some responsibility for what's going on in your community, because a lot of them hadn't been voting. They didn't think it would matter if they voted anyway. I decided, you know what? I'm tired of waiting on people to step up and do the right thing. So I'm gonna toss my hat in the ring, and that's what I did. So I would like to bring about some diversity to the city council. First of all, it's been white, and all white for a very long time. And in Loganville, since they've swung the doors open, there's quite a bit of diversity, has come in here for us, the residents and what have you. But you don't see that in the government that's running everything. So I think in order for people to feel that they actually matter, that what they think matter, they pay in taxes that matter to the government and them to be able to run things. My motto on my campaign is your voice at the table. And that's what I want to be for the citizens of Loganville. a voice at the table for those that feel they have had no voice for all these years. It's time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Steele. Edward, is Miss Shania Divine in the room?
Yes, she is. I'm
Rivers?
gonna bring her up now. All right, we finally got you in the room.
Thank you.
Okay. If Mrs. Divine, if you would just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for the other Loganville City Council. I guess it's the other. I don't know if other city council position in Loganville.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, for sure. We do have 3 open seats in Loganville. And I chose to run because to me that was odd to have 3 open seats. Knowing the history of Loganville, we've not been all inclusive. And that's pretty much my stance. I desire that we be all inclusive and just to make sure that everyone is a part of what's going on in Loganville. When my husband and I first got here, we didn't have as many people that have begun to come. So with me having a business in Loganville, I have I'm a final expense specialist. I have a life insurance company there. I talked to a lot of residents and I've heard the concerns, the old library, how hard it is to get down Main Street, traffic issues, of course, whether they're going to put up apartments or do housing. So it's just so many concerns that the people have. And I do have a city court background. I retired from City of Atlanta, and I used to attend the city council meetings. Never thought that I would be actually running for a city council seat, but I do have a heart for the people, and it is my desire that people needs are met. I'm a servant at heart, but most of all, that we make a difference. It's time for something fresh, something new. We just need to do something. And I'm all about being all inclusive and making sure everyone have the opportunity to be a part of Loganville if you're living in Loganville. So I'm excited to be on this panel and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm just going to go down the line in the order how y'all listed on my screen and ask pretty much repetitive questions about you all running. So let me get everybody up here. So first question I'll lead off would be for Ms. Hardrich, Katherine Hardrich. What's some of the main issues you plan on addressing if you are elected into office?
Yes. Thank you. And I want to make sure I name everybody. Rosa, Shania, am I saying your name right? Shenia. And then
it's Shania, but that's fine.
Shania. No, names are perfect. We have to make sure we say our names right. Rosa, Shania, Tiffany, and Sherry. I'm honored to be on the same platform as you ladies, and I wish everybody good luck. And so, yes, canvassing. I've had the opportunity to talk to, right now, we've touched over 1,100 citizens. And during that time, one of the running themes is services, lack of services for certain people in a certain community. As a matter of fact, the citizens told me that their recycling bins were removed from their area because a few people were abusing the recycling bins. And when these concerned citizens reached out to City Hall, they were told that the services were removed for everyone. So I felt like that was something that should not have been done. Okay, you have services being removed for all instead of a few. You need to address that for those individuals who are abusing that service and not punish everyone. So that is one thing that I would like to do, is address that those services, that those individuals are continuing to pay tax dollars for this service, but they are not receiving that service. So when they come home from work, they're coming home to trash buildup that's unpleasant, that is now sprawled all along their street, and it is not their fault, and it's a service that they are paying for. Another issue that has been brought to my attention, was speaking to several citizens, well, actually hundreds of citizens, is their interaction with the police. Okay, they feel as though that their interaction is not polite. While they may receive a ticket, they feel like they're not treated with dignity and respect. So that's something that is totally unacceptable, and we cannot allow our tax dollars to be paid to an organization that does not treat our citizens with respect and dignity. So those are the two top things. In addition to, we need to make sure that we address our youth, making sure our youth are engaged, giving them outreach programs. I would like to tap into organizations, nonprofits that are already doing the work, and make sure we create programs that our young people are engaged, even teach them about civics, right? We've already agreed that the majority of us have seen people who do not know much about the municipal races, their mayors or city councils. Well, I believe sometimes we need to dial back a little further. We can engage at a younger level. So in that way, we can encourage people to really desire to want to vote, understand why their vote matters, understand what services they receive when they vote. You know, when we go to the store, we put money in, we get change back. Well, in order for you to see change in your community, you must have put in your vote so you can get change back. So those are the top three things that I would like to address once I'm elected.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. I go to Sherry Villa out of the Lilburn City Council candidate. Can you talk to me about, what are some things that either you heard or that you just, that you're running to address? What are some things you plan on addressing if you're elected?
Well, some of the things I've heard and I've experienced myself in this community, we are on the forgotten side of Lilburn. Some people have, I call us the redheaded stepchildren. Some people don't like that term. Whatever you want to call it, the reality is still the same. Our communities are not treated the same as the other influential communities within the city. We but we need maintenance on our streets. We have one street in particular that floods every time it rains, so it's shut down to the point that they just leave the sign out because they know inevitably they'll have to use it to close the road again. We need speed bumps in our communities where we're situated. It's a pass through to get through traffic. And so we have a lot of young children that play out in the street, including my own, and the traffic, they just fly through the street. I will say that we have a good network of police officers. They participate in our neighborhood watch meetings, and they head our neighborhood watch meetings. And we've seen a significant decrease in crime in our neighborhoods since that's happened over the past years. But we need more code enforcement taking action against violations. I can drive down my street right now and there's a house that's had 4 mattresses sitting in the yard for a couple of weeks now. And that's absurd considering the amount of times that I actually see code enforcement driving through the neighborhood. We had a hole dug out by AT&T, and for a month, the dirt from the hole and the open hole sat for over a month. It's just ridiculous things like that just wouldn't happen in other neighborhoods. And I'm tired of sitting around and complaining about the conditions, and I want to be a part of changing the conditions. So we've had a lot of focus on the development of our Main Street area and our downtown Lilburn, but there are communities that need attention as well. We have existing businesses that need attention and help from our city. I can think of 4 or 5 plazas that are nearly dilapidated and need help in terms of revitalization. Rather than tearing down trees and making more stores and restaurants, we can revitalize our existing space that we have. So Gwinnett is very big on our parks. We have beautiful parks. It's one of the things that I really enjoy. I have a 3-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old. So that's one of the things I enjoy. But I think that prioritizing spending would go a long way, certainly a long way. So I want to be a part of those decisions. I'm not naive in any way, shape, or form. I've told everyone that I've come in contact with my position, and I have a partner that's working or running for post. We become partners running for post 3. I'm running for post 4. Will be the beginning of the change. City council, when it's not appointed by the mayor, it's still a majority rule. So when there are 4 individuals, the mayor will break the tie. So myself and the other candidate coming on is having this like ideas and likely voting for the same issues. It's going to be a tie every time because I claim that we're going to win. So I'm saying that it will be a tie. So I try to set reasonable expectations in terms of what I'm able to do. I want to engage the community and again take accountability for us not being active and voting in the past. So we take responsibility for what's happened in the past and change what our future looks like. I really want to start an initiative for how we communicate. Local government communicates with our residents. You'd be surprised how we the city advertises different events like our Lilburn days. There are signs at different intersections on different posts. You'll see the signs advertising for Lilburn days. And our election wasn't advertised at all or announced at all until I called, because we do have a billboard, an electronic billboard right outside of our city hall that advertised everything else except for the election. So after me calling, they did post that information, but only the actual election day, nothing about, early election and the hours. So it's something that's almost kept under wraps. And that's something that I want to change for our community. That educational piece, that communication piece, with getting information out to our residents. I think once they know when and where and what it entails and how important it is, they'll engage more. So those are just some of the issues that I want to tackle in City Hall or in City Council for Lilburn.
All right, thank you. And you and Katherine both brought us some things that a lot of people don't understand. Like, they don't understand City Council. Again, that's not something that, as far as the trash and picking up mattresses out of people's yard, that's not something Joe Biden can fix. Like, you got to talk to your city council, you got to talk to your mayor to fix that. So I'm glad you did bring that up and discuss that, because a lot of people don't understand that. Rosa, I'm gonna come to you next. What is one of the main issues you plan on addressing, or some of the issues you plan on addressing in Loganville, if you happen to win, or some issues that you may have heard, on the campaign trail talking to voters?
One of the main things that I keep hearing about from the voters is, can y'all do something about traffic? When you get in there, please do something about traffic. So that is really one of my key, would be one of my key focuses if I'm blessed to get one of the 3 seats that's open. And the other thing that I would like to actually put some real time and attention in is the revitalization of Main Street. Main Street, Loganville, look like it's stuck in a time warp. It's serving no purpose to the citizens of Loganville right now. I would like to see it revitalized with some local businesses, create put some mom and pop shops in there, some place where families can come and create memories after worship on Sunday or Saturday when they come there and hang out. I would like to see some walkable green space there as well. And I've heard a couple of ideas about what some of the some business owners, that entrepreneurs would like to come in and contribute to bring that development about. Also, they're talking about eliminating our library. Now, I know a lot of people think that libraries become obsolete. I actually heard the person that's going to be sitting at the top of the city government come January say that. He actually said that directly to me, that, our libraries are pretty much obsolete. Well, I know when this pandemic started, a lot of times I would have internet issues before the libraries actually went ahead and shut down, closed like everything else. I would go to the library when I needed to work on something when my internet was down. And contrary to popular belief, everybody home does not have internet. Some of these parents need to bring their kids to the library to do homework assignments. They don't have this internet speed or that they need for their kids to do their projects and what have you. So I would be fighting to make sure, if they are going to eliminate our library where it is located now, but I would like for it to be a part of the revitalization in Main Street, make a space for a library, because I think a library is a fundamental resource for any thriving community. So those are the three things that are concerned to me and that I would definitely be putting a lot of focus on.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I move on now to Tiffany. Same question to you for Sugar Hill. What's one of the main issues you plan on addressing, or that you will address if you're elected, or either something that you've been hearing on the campaign trail that may have shifted what you may have probably was going to run on, and now you're like, okay, maybe I need to focus on that because this.
Right, that's true. That actually did happen. One of the main issues that I've heard over and over again is communication. There is no People feel that their voices aren't heard, and they feel like there's absolutely no communication on decisions that are being made in the city. They feel like the decisions are made and they find out afterwards when they see a building going up or some trees going down. So I would like to connect people directly with council, because that's what council is. Council is supposed to be a representation of its citizens, and if the citizens don't feel like they're being heard, then what is council doing? So that's one of the things that I want to address and I want to improve upon. The second thing that I want to focus on is celebrating our entrepreneurs. We have amazing entrepreneurs in this city, and unfortunately they don't feel supported by the city. And most of the time, people with entrepreneurship, people don't know that they offer a service, or they don't know that they have a business. So I want to take steps to make sure that people know that if their pipe bursts in the middle of the night, that their neighbor that's 3 doors down has a plumbing business. And that way their neighbors can support the growth of their business. And then that also builds community as well and makes the community stronger. The third thing that I want to do is to celebrate diversity and inclusion in this city. As we have grown, the city has become more diverse. But as I stated in my introduction, that's not reflected at the city level, because we had to organize the very first Black History Month program. And we know how long Black History Month has been around. So that is something, even our theater, we had to go to them and say, hey, we need viewing options that's more diverse, because we have more than one type of person that lives in this city. So that's something that I also want to do, is celebrate the different, not just white or Black, but we have a wide array of folks in this city that deserves to be celebrated as well. And last but not least, I want to focus on the families here, our children. We have amazing resources that most folks don't know about, just like Miss Steele just spoke about the library. We have a museum and an art gallery that most folks don't even know that we have, which is unfortunate. So I would like to welcome schools in to do field trips at the museum and maybe celebrate the kids. They can have their art display at the art gallery. I really want to work towards enriching our children in a number of different ways, and through that celebrate them as well.
Thank you. And I was gonna get Mrs. Shania Rivers Divine on, the other Loganville City Council, but she may be having some technical difficulties. So we'll just move on with our next question. We thank our President Pooh for joining us tonight. She's came into the stream. Ms. Pooh, do you have anything you want to say before we move on with our next round of questions to our guests? And also, anybody that's in the chat that's watching live, y'all can drop your questions in the chat and we'll try to get them asked during the program. Ms. Pooh, did you have anything?
No, I just want to say good evening. Welcome, everyone. I'm glad that you're here. And I am sitting here listening very intently, waiting for those questions to come from our viewers. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you. All right, so I'll move on with our next round of questions. We'll start back with you, Katherine. So you already answered a couple of the questions about the waste. Police departments. Police has been a big topic over the last year, especially with everything that happened with George Floyd here in Georgia with Ahmaud Arbery. one of the questions that I got asked from some of the people that's in the unit was, in what ways can the municipal police department be laboratories for a model for community police? And I'll kind of break that question down a little bit for all our guests. So basically, do you all support community control over the police? If you all are elected to city council, where there's a board that will oversee accountability in the police department, because one thing we're seeing across the nation is that a lot of the bad law enforcement is overshadowing a lot of good, and even some of the people that are trying to do the right thing and report the right thing, those people are being shunned or blocked or exiled out of law enforcement for trying to step up and do the right thing. So I'll start with you, Ms. Hardrich. I mean, would you be in support of a community police program where there would be a board elected to basically oversee discipline, training, hiring and firing of law enforcement?
Hi, yes, thank you for that, and thank you for elaborating. So, yes, I am in favor of having a citizens advisory board that is made up of citizens that are elected or not appointed by the people already in the police or the council. So, for example, Gwinnett County has an advisory board, but their members are appointed by the commissioners. So to me, it really isn't as valuable as if it was an ordinary everyday citizen who was on the board, that they can review the issues. Also, in addition to that, I think we should have an outside agency to review misconduct. So anything that happens, we should not have the police reviewing the police. We should have an outside agency to do that. Another thing that we can do to strengthen, because we do have, just as you said, we do have good police officers doing great work. And there are only a few that make it bad for us all. But in order to build and strengthen our police and our citizen relationship, I would like to have a regular meet and greet with the police and public. And there are other organizations that are doing that, going around, nonprofits that are meeting with the different police chiefs and fellow police officers in different cities. And I would like to continue having that in Snellville, where it can either be quarterly or monthly, and have snacks and just invite the public so that we can get to know our police officers, so that we can have more pleasant interactions, so that the police will know the community in which they serve. And that way, I had a police officer mention to me that they didn't like living in Snellville, the city in which they serve. And I found that to be a bit disheartening, because you should want to live in a place in which you work. And I mean, you're serving us, you took an oath to serve and protect. And you should want to live in the place in which you serve and protect. Because typically, my viewpoint, if you're having a bad day, your service isn't going to be great. So if you go to a job that you don't care for, your service may not be as great. Mm-hmm. So we really need to think about our police officers, also protecting them, but making sure that they're in the right mindset so that they can take care and protect the citizens in which they took an oath to serve.
Okay, thank you. Sherry, I'll come to you next out of Lilburn. Same question. I mean, would you support a citizens review board that would be elected people in the community to oversee disciplinary hiring and training for law enforcement?
I think that would be a great idea after there's a thorough investigation, or just the due diligence has happened to determine if it's necessary, right? Not all communities have the same issues. So I can't say yes, it would be a good idea. Is that necessary for the city of Lilburn? I can't say that without the proper information, because I'm looking at it just from my narrow lens, so to speak, and my interaction with our police, and it's been very positive. It's not something that I've heard complaints about. it's actually one of the things that I hear people over and over again say that that's one of the good things about the city of Lilburn. They're very active in the community. We have a lot of programs that you can participate in as it pertains to the police, ride-alongs, different training programs. They participate in our neighborhood watch. When it was started, they had pages and pages of incidents because they go through the incidents from the month prior, and that's down to the last city neighborhood watch meeting that I was at. There's only 3 incidents in 1 month. So, so I think that we're doing good things here. I would say that I want to make sure that they have the resources to keep up with the evolving times, so to speak. That they're able, that they are equipped with the education and training to deal with different situations as the times have changed. Maybe people that they encounter that may be having mental problems, and how to interact with those individuals, and how to combat a problem that I've seen growing over the past year because I work at home. So I'm in and out. So I see, I don't know if the people that I'm seeing are suffer from mental issues or drug abuse or maybe the both, but it seems like we have a growing number of vagrant individuals that may need help and resources in finding shelter, finding mental health help. But I want to see our police officers interact with those individuals more. But in terms of an oversight community, I think it's a great resource when it's needed.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Rosa Steele, Loganville, same question. Would you be in favor of a community review board that would be over hiring, firing, and training for police? And I know Loganville probably doesn't have a huge, I think most of Loganville is probably county, but just your thought process on that.
I kind of echo what our last guest said. Here in Loganville, I haven't heard anything about any issues with the local law enforcement. And we do have the Walton County Sheriff Department, which actually police a large segment of Loganville, and of course the Loganville City Police. But I would not be against it if there was an issue that arose that required some outside oversight. I think that would be the right step, because in some instances here, as we've all witnessed nationally, when the police themselves, things just they do not shake out right. So yeah, I would if something were to occur and I felt it was necessary, I would definitely, and I would be one of the first ones to step forward and make that suggestion if it was necessary.
Okay, thank you. Tiffany, I'll come to you now. Same question.
Well, Sugar Hill doesn't have a police department, as you probably know. We just formed a city marshal, which the city council is actually going to be in charge of telling them what they can and cannot do. So that's something that is new that actually just happened last month. We just had a city marshal appointed. As far as a community review board, I would absolutely support something like that. I appreciate what Ms. Hardwick said when she said, if they are kind of policing themselves, then what good is it doing? Right. So, and Miss Steele also said those same words. So I agree with that. Hopefully, with this new formation of the city marshal and it supposedly being over, the city council will oversee it. Once communication is improved between city council and the citizens of Sugar Hill, I'm hoping that those two things will work together in guiding the city marshal. But if it ever became a time where there was a community review board or something like that needed, then absolutely, I would support that 100%.
All right, thank you. And now we do have Mrs. Shania Rivers Divine back on with the stream with us. If you'll come take yourself off mute so we can hear you. same question to you. Would you be in support or in favor, since you're running for Loganville City Council, of an oversight board that would be over the hiring, firing, and training of law enforcement?
Or in Loganville, we have a pretty strong police presence. And if there did arise a problem, I would definitely be in favor of that, because my stance is for us to be all inclusive. We don't have a lot of, well, I can't say we don't have a lot of people of color, but if there did arise a problem, I would definitely would like to get maybe an outside agency to intervene, or someone that's not totally connected with the police force after investigations have been done, after, like the other lady said, the due diligence. But there would, because we're such a close-knit community per se, we would want a person that's not so affiliated with the Loganville bond, small home filling. So yes, I would definitely say that would be appropriate if that arose.
Thank you. And since I'm gonna keep you on, I'm gonna go in reverse order this time, just so
Okay.
we can get some questions in to you. So the next question would be, can you briefly detail why it's important for citizens to vote for their city council? So can you give them, and you don't have to just be brief, because all y'all got to speak. Just a little, 1 minute, 2 minute, why it's important for citizens to get out and vote for their city council.
Well, it's very important because the city council is the legislative liaison that makes sure that whatever laws or ordinances or whatever's trying to go forth, that they come to fruition. When citizens vote, that it's heard, their votes make a difference. So that helps us be able to get things accomplished. My desire is that Miss Rosa Steele and I do get an opportunity to get 2 of those 3 seats, just so that we can be all inclusive. When we were out canvassing, I was talking with different residents. They did not even know that they could vote in this election. They thought, of course, that the mayor appointed the city council. So there's a lot of education that needs to go forth. There's a lot of communication, because we're sending them out texts, we're calling, we're going to see them, just so that people can know, listen, we care about you. We want you to be a part of what's going on in your city, and you have that right to do so. So it is very important that their voice is heard and that they vote, because the majority vote win. And if we all come together and inclusively get something accomplished, we will be glad in days to come that we took an assertive effort to make a difference in Loganville.
All right, thank you. And I hope that wasn't some of the areas we canvassed. We canvassed in Loganville now, so some of these people should be knowing what's going on. We went to Fox Run, Fox Chase, Breckenridge. Those some of the communities we knocked on doors on in Loganville. So Loganville was definitely one of the areas we did get out and knock on some doors during the summer about this election to try to make people aware. Tiffany, I'll come to you next. Can you give the audience, tell the audience why it's important for them to be voting for their city council? What makes the city council so important?
Well, I definitely agree with everything that Ms. Shania just said, but I will just say that representation matters. It's very important. Just like most folks just said, there's never been any person, Black or of color at all, period, represented on Sugar Hill City Council. And unfortunately, for that reason, a lot of people don't vote. They just don't vote because they don't feel like their voice is heard, or their voice even matters. So once you get someone, you have to use your power to vote in order to get someone on council, so that your voice can be heard, so that if there is an issue and you need to reach out to somebody on council, you have someone that you feel comfortable with reaching out to be able to help you with whatever issue you may be having. So that's one of the reasons why I think it's important. And I even wrote down what Ms. Hartwood said when she said, just like when you go to the grocery store and you give money and you want some change back, people need to understand, what are you putting into your city? If you won't bother to vote, then you can't complain about anything, because you're not even exercising the right that so many of us, even my grandfather, fought for, so that we can be able to be represented at the city level. So that's one of the main reasons why I think voting is important.
Okay. All right, Ms. Rosa, I come to you next. Can you give the audience and your voters in Loganville why it's important for them to vote in this municipal election?
Because it's an investment in yourself. If you don't take interest in who you allow to represent you, it's basically saying, well, I get whatever I get. I'm good with that. And and you really don't have any excuse to complain when things are not happening the way that you think they should. So when you vote for city council and the choice of a person that you select, that you voted for, get in there, if you're not seeing the results of things changing or things happening the way that you believed, or that person had you to believe that they would, then you have a right to go before that council and let that council know in a respectful manner that you are not happy with what's going on, that your vote is your power. Your vote is your power. Your vote gives you the power to say what happens in your city. And if you don't exercise that power, you have you basically have no reason to complain. Your city council is your voice. That's why I say your voice at the table. That's my slogan. If you vote me in, I'm your voice at the table. I will make sure that you have direct contact with me to let me know what your concerns are. And I am the type person, if it's an issue across the board for many citizens, I will present it as such and do everything in my power, as Shania just said a few minutes ago, to make sure that that thing is addressed appropriately and accordingly to the best outcome for all of Loganville citizens.
Thank you. All right, Sherry Villa, I go to you next. What's some reasons that people need to be getting out voting for city council? Because people understand they vote for president because the president is setting an agenda for the country, but may not be able to make that connection about why I need to vote for city council. I don't even know what they do. So right. Can you connect those dots for the audience and for right. your voters?
And so, if you live in the city of Lilburn, likely you know that there's currently an investigation ongoing. There's been an indictment, some corruption that has occurred to the tune of $500,000 that we know of. So things like that will continue to happen if we don't vote as a community to elect officials on city council, elect our mayor that is in charge of all of the different departments, the zoning department and the different departments that are in control and where this corruption occurred. And not to say that those that are currently in place had any part in that, but we need oversight of our local government. We need an independent audit of transactions that have occurred. We need to put safety veils in place to prevent this from happening in the future. There's no 100% way to say that this will never happen again. But currently, to date, our local government has yet to even acknowledge that it's happened. And I think that acknowledgement, along with acknowledging our community when they reach out to city council, are things that have caused a crack in the foundation, so to speak, of this community. There's a lack of trust in our local government, and it's just due to lack of communication, whether it's we can't comment on the situation at this time, or just giving the feedback to our community why we can't make certain changes. I think that goes a long way in just acknowledging people's interests and their concerns. But we as a city need to vote if we want to see change. If we continue to put the same thing in the system, we're going to get the same results out. I am guilty of not participating in local government in the past. And so I'll be the first person to be transparent about that. But I know that I can't sit back and wait for change to happen. I have to be a part of the change, and that includes voting. it literally takes you less than 10 minutes to vote. I think that that's one of the things I want people to know. You're not standing in a long line waiting hours on end to vote. You can walk in and out of city council in about 10 minutes and just, make your vote count. It's that simple. It's one of the easiest things you can do to participate. Let's say you don't want to walk the streets and pick up trash. You don't want to participate in different events. Voting is the easiest way to participate and give back to your community that you can do. And that's one thing I want people to understand. It's easy, it's not hard, and it's one of the most important things that you can do. And how often does that happen in life? One of the easiest things that you can do. It's also one of the most important things that you can do. And that's what I want people to understand about why you should vote and also encourage you to vote.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Hardrich, again, same question. Why should people get out and vote in this municipal election? Connect those dots for people and why they should come out.
Yes, thank you so very much. As Representative McLeod showed me and explained to me, she said something very profound. If you pay income tax and state tax, then you should vote. And if my opinion, I understand that it's very clear. It hit home for me, right? And so what I would like to get voters to see and understand that there's nowhere you give your money away and you do not have input as to what those dollars go towards. And if you do not vote, when you do not vote, you are allowing the mayor, the council members, the city manager to use your dollars as they see fit. And that should be a problem for any of us. Another reason that we should vote, especially in Snellville, Snellville is still an at-large voting system. And in my opinion, we should be districts. And for those that may not know, at-large means that we have 20,000 citizens in Snellville. And as my fellow colleagues said, Ms. Sherry and Ms. Rosa, Ms. Divine, Tiffany, these elections are won by small votes. But in a municipal race with 20,000 people, these city council members and mayors, they only have to satisfy a small number of people to come out and turn those votes in and get them in office. Well, if we go to a district, now you're responsible for a district, a larger number of people who you have to get in contact with, who you have to shake hands, who you have to answer to and be accountable to, who you have to be transparent to. And so if we go to districts, now you can't just win with 400 votes or 800 votes. Okay. And then the next thing, you also need to make sure that you vote someone in who their beliefs are in alignment with yours and they can advocate for your best interest. Okay. You want to make sure you do your research and you look for people who will advocate for your beliefs. And that's who I am. I am a person who wants to voice the citizens' values. And that's why I am running. And I hope everyone goes out to the city of Snellville, located on 2342 Oak Road, and make sure they go out to vote. This is the last week of early voting. You have from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Friday, October 29th is the last day of early voting. And then the election day is Tuesday, November 2nd from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Okay, at City Hall. City Council, City Hall. Just remember that. And like the young lady said, it'll take you longer to drive to City Hall than it will be for you to present your ID and vote. So I'm asking everybody to participate and exercise your right to vote and exercise your reason why you should vote. Those tax dollars, you should vote and make sure that they go where you want them to go.
Thank you. And I'm going to go back to Ms. Shania Rivers Divine. If you'll come out mute for a minute, and then I'm going to ask you the next question. And again, anybody that's watching the stream live, if y'all have any questions, I will definitely throw them up to the guests for them to ask. If y'all live in any of these municipalities, that's Sugar Hill, Loganville, Lilburn, and Snellville. All right. And Miss Shania Rivers Divine. Next question. So what municipal services or resources do you feel like, and I'm going to talk specifically for Loganville, so that's where you're running for city council at, do you feel like are being underutilized? And then you feel like you can do if you're elected to help maximize those resources? So what resources in Loganville that you feel like are not being utilized, or maybe some communities not being served with particular resources, and you feel like, if you're elected, you'll do what you need to do to make sure those citizens get access to those resources?
That's a great question. Well, first of all, the Old Kelly Library is outdated. And if the library is torn down and it is moved, we definitely need state of the art equipment in the library. There are a lot of persons that live in Loganville, but they end up going to other libraries, Snellville and beyond, so that they can get the adequate equipment they need to use the library. Another thing I feel we need in Loganville, we need some walks, some green space, some walkable parks. We need areas where people can gather. We need a revitalization of our Loganville, Main Street. We need to be able to have the resources that will enable us to be user friendly, if I can say. Even now, the places that are on Main Street, they're dated. We need a facelift. We need to be able to connect with our youth. As I've heard someone else say, I actually went down to, there's an arcade that a husband and wife have, really nice. Can't see it because it's off the road and they won't let them put it up further. But we need a place where the youth can connect. We need the seniors. I have a senior program and I do food boxes, and I saw that they do have a senior program right there by the police station. But we need to be more interactive with our seniors and just the community as a whole. If I am elected, I desire to have an appreciation day for the residents, literally appreciating them just for being a part of the Loganville family. There's
Okay.
a lot of interesting personalities in Loganville, let me say it that way. And my
Okay.
desire is to make it be all inclusive. And
Okay.
I know just from living life, when you show persons you care and you love them, eventually that hard, tough, ugh, kind of way of being usually softens and things can turn around. And we have the ability to do that.
All right. Thank you. Tiffany, I go to you. What resources you feel like in Sugar Hill are not being are underutilized that you feel like you can maximize to help any underserved communities that doesn't have access to these resources in Sugar Hill?
Thank you for that question. That's a really great question. And I can list them. The first thing is the History Museum. The History Museum is beautiful. It's a state of the art facility. If you walked into it, you would just be in awe. And the History Museum and the art gallery are connected. People don't know that they can go in there and access the Wi-Fi and use genealogy to trace their roots. And there's just amazing resources in there that people just don't know about. So I definitely think that's unfortunate. And I think that inviting the schools in and the kids in so that they can understand what is right there in front of them, then I think that would help. Also, we have a theater it looks like the Fox Theater on the inside. It is also a state-of-the-art facility, but unfortunately it's empty most of the time. And I understand that things have to be paid for and there are fees involved, but it's not doing any good if it's empty most of the time. So I think that that's something that we can work on so that the citizens can utilize the space, and take advantage of it. It's there. So again, we should be using it. Also, last but not least, we had a community center, but our community center is now a distillery. So that's to me a missed opportunity because my daughter, when she was 3 years old, she took tap and ballet there. There were really great community programs. There were programs for the senior citizens, and Sugar Hill has a large population of senior citizens. So, but now that the community center is gone, the affordable programs that were available to citizens are no longer there. And so I think that is something that we need to address as well so that kids, it's just like Miss Shania just said, kids need something to do. They need somewhere to go after school. Keep them out of trouble. And the community center was great with that, for that. But so that's something that I would like to bring back, that community aspect.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, Ms. Rosa, same question to you. What I know, hopefully Mrs. Divine didn't take all your questions, but for Loganville, since y'all are running in the same city. But what are some resources in Loganville that you feel like are not being fully utilized by the citizens, and what do you know, and what do you plan on doing, I guess, to try to increase that access to those resources? You on mute. I'm sorry, you on mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Miss Shania did touch on one of the key resources, and I mentioned it earlier in one of my answers, is the library. They're talking of possibly eliminating it, but I'm hoping, and if I do am fortunate enough to become a member, a city council member, I will fight to hold on to that. So right now, we're waiting for the feasibility report to come back to see which direction we're going to go in, because I honestly and truly believe that a library is a fundamental resource for any thriving community. And I do think there's some misconception that everybody has internet in their home now. That's just not the case. I have a daughter that's an educator. I have a daughter-in-law that's an educator. And believe it or not, there are still families that don't have internet. And the kids, you can use the library for those projects that they need to work on. And one of the other things that I would like to put some resources in is we have a heavy presence of senior communities here in Loganville as well. I heard one of the other guests say that they have, like they have, but there's no common space for them to come from their collective communities and interact with each other. Something like water aerobics, inside walking tracks, maybe have, play games, card games of different sorts, and just the different communities coming together. I would like to have a facility for that here in Loganville. So those are just two things that I would like to see come into fruition if I'm fortunate enough to become a member.
Okay, thank you. All right, Miss Sherry Villa, you can take yourself off mute. So same question to you in Lilburn. What's some resources you feel like are that are underutilized that we can help our underserved citizens get more access to?
So less of a resource that's not being utilized or underutilized. I think there's we need to prioritize spending. So we have a brand new, it's called a splash pad in our downtown park. It's beautiful. Again, I have a 3-year-old, so I can appreciate a good splash pad. But why did we spend money on a splash pad when that same connecting street from our downtown area to my side of the city floods when it rains hard? So prioritizing spending so that our community is
So infrastructure
is where money needs to be spent rather than parks, more parks and beautifying our parks. Yes, parks are necessary. Yes, the upkeep requirements are there, but we are in a good place as it pertains to our parks when we're not living in a space that's just as beautiful. And these are parts of the city that that the city is responsible for. We as residents are responsible for our private properties, but our streets, infrastructure in terms of flooding, those are city responsibilities and those are city streets. So I think those things need to be a priority. And that just leads into this section of Lilburn and others that need to be made a priority in general.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Ms. Hardrich, you go ahead. Same question to you. Any resources in Snellville that you feel like that are underutilized that we need to get some of our underserved communities access to?
Yes, absolutely. So our abandoned buildings, I would like to see those buildings repurposed. We don't always have to start brand new from scratch. We can utilize some of these buildings and put them to better use instead of just being an eyesore for our community. For example, the Ryan's building, the restaurant on Ryan's that's been abandoned for some time. And again, I like to see a community center, someplace where we can marry our seniors to our youth and have them give back and mentor. And since Ryan's is not far from the high school and the elementary school, you'll have a safe access to those children so they can have some place to go. And then we will repurpose that building. And in doing so, too, we can also protect our legacy homeowners, their property. You know, there are some homeowners that fear that their land will be removed from them for development. So we can use the buildings that are already there, just repurpose those buildings so we can protect our legacy homeowners. Okay, they've been there 30 plus years and we should be able to protect them with that. The other thing that something is very simple that we overlook are street lights and sidewalks. There are street lights in Snellville that have been out for 3 years and we've been paying taxes for those street lights. That's something, the service that we're paying for, and that's a service that the citizens deserve. I myself personally, I run, and when you run at 5 o'clock in the morning, you rely on those street lights. So yes, we need to make sure we have those services. Another thing we need to do is attract our businesses to come to Snellville. And I love having our neighboring cities, Lawrenceville and so forth, where citizens go there and they enjoy the nightlife in Lawrenceville, but we want citizens to stay in Snellville. So we need more good paying jobs that's full time, good hourly wages, so those our citizens can have a place to work, our citizens have a place to play, and our citizens have a quality of life to live. And so we need to attract those businesses that will offer those for our citizens. Another thing with our parks, it's very obvious that some of our parks need attention, and areas where Black and brown children play, those areas do not have lights. Those areas are actually gated and locked so that those services are restricted from the citizens. And I'm still doing more research on that, but that's the feedback that I'm receiving from citizens that while I'm canvassing, like I said, I'm talking to hundreds of people, and this is the feedback I'm getting from citizens. This isn't me, this is citizens, their input, that they're saying that these are services that they pay for and they are not receiving. So I would like to see those things repurposing buildings, streetlight sidewalks, attracting businesses for better jobs, and keeping those dollars in Snellville, and then our parks, making sure that the citizens are able to enjoy those parks.
Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna let our president of the NAACP, Gwinnett Indianapolis, had a question for the candidates. I'm gonna let her speak now. Go ahead, Miss President Poole.
Good evening, everyone, again. I'm hearing some great answers, but one of the questions that has been heavily on my mind, and I heard some of you touch on this slightly, about transparency. As you know, that there have been federal dollars that have been coming down for the revitalization, for uh, uh, sharing monies with communities that have not equitably been receiving monies. And I want to not get all these things confused. So there are new federal funds coming down from the executive orders that are purposely being directed to our counties and our municipalities. Have your cities, and this is everyone, we'll give everybody a chance. And after this, if Edward doesn't have another question, we'll probably try to give you your elevator speech so we can get you to give a statement as well as open the floor for questions. But again, this question is revolving around federal funds that have come down. Has your particular municipality been telling the citizens of your area about the funds? And let's not get this confused with CARES Act funds, because there have been many rounds of CARES Act funds, but there are new funds coming specifically for cities who have been historically not receiving their fair share or equitable distribution of resources in their community. And if you would, we'll start with Miss candidate Shania Rivers Devine. Are you and has your city been sharing information about those funds with you as well as those others from City Council?
Thank you, Ms. President. Great question once again. I do attend the city council meetings, and we do have a financial report, and it does tell where all the funds are allocated. At our last meeting, we had a young lady, Miss Jane Williams. She was concerned because the park across the street from her home, it does not have, one of the swings were missing. It doesn't have a bathroom. It says no pets allowed, but dogs are there. So she was asking if we had any monies to be able to help that park look as pretty as Destination Park. The mayor thought we had money in a splosh fund, but after he talked with the city manager, that wasn't the case. So they do let us know where the funds are allocated. But if I become one of the city council members, I would make sure that I find out every resource, every grant, every splosh fund. I know they've used drug money before, so I will find out where those funds are so that we can put them to good use. So yes, we are told where the monies are allocated, but if there's funding that we don't know about, when I become city council, I'll make sure that we do know.
Right. There has been monies that have already been awarded. And the scope of this question is to see if there has been transparency with the cities that you candidates are running for. And we want to make sure. And the other side of this question, and again, it was mentioned that there are many committees that are on the particular councils, city councils, committees that determine infrastructure, that determine light and your streets and your parks, that determine funding, that determine zoning. So all of these cities have these committees that many of us never hear about. So there's that first and second part. Again, when you answer this question, please let us know if your city has announced that they are receiving these executive order funds that are coming for infrastructure, coming down for cities who have not been equitably receiving, the parts of the cities and communities who have not been equitably receiving these funds. And then the second part, again, are you aware of these committees that will be dispersing these monies?
And, and we'll go to Tiffany next.
Ms. President, my apologies. I can't hear you. It's very choppy. I think you're asking if we've been told of funds that have been coming down to our city. Is that what you said?
Correct. From the federal government during the Biden administration on the executive orders that have set aside monies for counties and cities. Gwinnett County should be receiving over 17 billion, and each city, depending upon its population, will also be receiving funds.
Okay, I think we lost her. We'll go to Tiffany Hill Carter now about that. So the question is tied to the American Rescue Plan. As part of that, that bill being passed, Biden issued an executive order that certain funds, certain amount of money should be set aside for minority communities or underserved communities to be supported. So has Sugar Hill shared that information with the community? And have they had come up with a game plan of how they're going to use those funds? And were you even aware of it?
Well, to be in the spirit of transparency, I'm going to be completely honest and tell you I have not heard of any of this. As a matter of fact, when you put in the American Rescue Plan, I opened another window and typed in American Rescue Plan along with Sugar Hill to try to see if maybe something did come down and maybe I missed it. Even just sitting here looking for it, I don't see anything. Now, I I'm not sure if Sugar Hill is considered necessarily an underserved community. Maybe that has something to do with it. I will tell you that I will be looking into that even after we get off of this meeting. I will be sitting here and trying to figure that out because I have not heard anything. Now, our parks, of course, are being developed, our green spaces are being developed, but this in particular, no, there has not been an announcement, and no, I have not heard of anything with it.
Right. These, and again, for more clarification, these funds have been specifically targeted. It does not depend on what the culture of that area is. It's whether or not there have been people who are identified as African American, people who have not been receiving equity during this process. So
Okay.
it's not about, because Gwinnett County, as you know, we have a $2 billion budget plus for school and for our county council. So it's the cities that I am checking to see if this information has been shared with the candidates. So, and again, if you have not heard about it, it's about, again, that information. There are events happening. Is the city marketing? Is the city telling people about what's going on? So that's specifically what this question is about. Has your city been marketing this information about the American Rescue Plan? And who's next on
Miss
to?
Rosa Steele, I'll let her go. Let's go ahead. Same question.
You're on mute.
Sorry, guys. To answer your question, Mr. President, no, we have not been informed of it, but I am aware of that what you're talking about. I do know that some funds are in our area because our school employees, bus drivers, and on up are receiving some of those funds as a result of that, the rescue plan. But for as our city being Loganville city government being transparent and making us the citizens aware of money that they've received, that hasn't happened. I will make a direct inquiry as to where those funds are because I'm very much aware about what you're talking about. So no, and to put it candidly, Loganville city government is not big on transparency from my experience. The city council members, the responsibility for its finances and money coming in, how money is allocated is divvied up among the members. So I'm not even aware of any special committees like you're talking about that are set up or set aside that would distribute those funds. Those funds, I'm sure, would be handled directly with the members of city council. So no, they have not been transparent about the funds received. And I do know that the funds are in the area because I'm aware of some things going on with some of the other local agencies around about Walton County.
We do have someone in the chat that said that they did introduce some spending for city employees, fire, public safety, and a big chunk for infrastructure. The only thing I will say about that is, and if those of you that's on the line that, I'm gonna move on to Sherry next, that may not be familiar. The executive order was Executive Order 13985. So if y'all not aware, that is the executive order that Biden issued is 13985. Now, I know one of the people in the chat had put in that they did talk about spending on city employees, fire safety and public, and a chunk on infrastructure. However, this money was designated that Biden set aside to serve underserved communities, not city employees, not infrastructure, because they're working on passing the infrastructure bill currently. So on to Sherry Villa out of Lilburn. Same question you have. Lilburn discussed any resources that they're going to be using to underserved community from that executive order that was issued by Joe Biden?
If they've not discussed the local election, if they've not discussed the corruption that's happened, then of course they've not discussed that those monies are available. I know that they're available because someone made me aware that they were available, but it wasn't someone in our local government in terms of city council. Um, I believe there's an outside committee or entity that's come in to offer guidance in terms of using those funds, but ultimately the decisions will be made by our local government. So yes, we have a committee or an entity that will come in to help provide guidance and assistance in terms of how to use the money because they're very specific in how they can be used, and it's not for staff. It's not for those types of improvements or upgrades. It's they're very specific. But ultimately, local government will decide how those monies are spent. Yet another reason why we need to get out and vote if we want to see changes happen. $4.8 million is what was allotted for Lilburn, and it sounds like a lot of money to us. But in the scheme of things, it's not a lot of money to use for a whole city. So if we want to be involved in how that money is being used, we have to have people in local government that care about us. So we have streets that need to be fixed. We have streets that flood. We have, and I will say to our credit, we do have local officers that want to see improvements in our neighborhoods, who want to see more street lights, who want to see different things happen. But again, prioritizing our resources in terms of money like this can go a long way for communities like ours. There are communities that are in great condition, and those are the types of resources or things that the money is supposed to be used for. Will it happen? And unfortunately, I don't have faith in our local government to take care of us. So yet again, yet another reason why we have to participate in local government and why we have to vote. I don't set any unrealistic expectations in terms of what one person, can do. The same way it's going to take a community effort to get me in this position, it's going to take that same effort to put more people in those positions and to appoint a mayor that will appoint people in those different departments that you spoke of that ultimately make those decisions. It's not just city council that will ultimately determine that money is used.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Hardrich, your last has Snellville been transparent about funds. And again, let me be very clear. These funds was designated to help underserved communities. So whether these are poor white communities, poor black communities, poor Latinx or Asian communities, these were funds Biden set aside and part of an executive order
What
to
else
be
do I say? I
used.
can't get the funding. So thank you for asking that. And like everyone has said, no, I was doing just as my colleagues Tiffany and so forth. We Googling this, and no, it does not show up if you go to the Snellville website and you type in American Rescue Plan and CARES money, nothing shows up. I have heard from nonprofits that they have applied, but what has happened is the small nonprofits have been systemically overlooked from getting this American Rescue Plan and CARES money because of the stringent requirements. Okay. These are organizations that are doing the good work and they can't get the funding. The bigger companies, everybody needs money, but this is specifically for underserved people who are doing the work, and they're still not getting the money that has been allocated for them. So I have to do my part in doing more research, making sure that we get the word out. But from a city level, no, ma'am, that information is not made available to me. And just as the colleague said, if they're not talking about the race, they're definitely not talking about those dollars that are going to help these individuals that are doing the work and deserve this money, and the money has been allotted for.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, so we're coming into the final stretch of our program, and what we'll do now is give everybody an opportunity to give their elevator speech of why they need to get out and vote for this election. Again, the election is this week. You have 2 days left. 1 day left. Today is Wednesday. 2 days left. So you have Thursday and Friday between 9 to 5. I do have the banner running at the bottom of the screen. And then Tuesday, election day, will be November 2nd from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to get out. It is too late to do any type of absentee ballot. So if you're going to vote, please wear your mask, be safe, go in person to your local city hall. That's where the voting is taking place. And like I said, at the bottom of the screen, I do have the banner running where you can check your eligibility by contacting City Hall or going to the Georgia MVP website, which that website is listed below, running under the banner. So, Mrs. Devine, I'm gonna come to you first to give your elevator speech about why the people need to be out on tomorrow from 9 to 5 or Friday or the first Tuesday in November between 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to come vote for you.
Thank you. I'm encouraging all to come out and vote because your vote does count. If we want to see change, change has to start with us. Once we come out and show that we care enough to vote, change can come forth. Our communities are in need of a voice, of a person that's going to advocate, be the liaison, and have a heart for the people. When you come out to vote, you support what is needed to take our city, our county, and our communities to the next level. So I encourage you, come out to vote, vote for Shania Rivers Divine. There are 3 open seats. We only need to fill 2 of them, Rosa Steele and myself, Shania Rivers Divine. Let us help make a difference in our community. Not only do we want to be, or not only do I want to be your councilwoman in the community, I want to be your community's councilwoman, where you can come to me, let me know what's going on. Let us put our hands to the plow and don't look back and don't stop until we get some things accomplished. We will love for you to come out and vote. Show that you care by showing up. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, Miss Tiffany Hale Carter, give the people a reason to come out to vote for you.
Well, I would like to encourage everyone to come out and vote. Again, as I stated before, your voice matters. Representation matters. You need to make sure that someone is on council to represent you. And that doesn't mean in one way, that means in multiple ways. So research the candidates. I do have opposition. I would say experience matters, experience in serving the city, and research the candidates. Decide whose values align with your values. Who do you want to see on city council representing you? If there is an issue within the city that you can't get resolved yourself, who would you feel comfortable going to say, hey, can you help me with this? Who would you have confidence in that would actually do what you asked them to do? Diversity is important for a number of ways, not just color. Also, welcoming women at a table that's mostly occupied by men. That is important as well. And also making sure that folks like our senior citizens are taken care of, and folks that are, may have some type of disabilities are also in mind when decisions are being made. So please, I encourage you, again, do your research, look at the candidates. There are only 2 days of early voting left. I encourage you to get out and make sure the numbers are up. Sugar Hill has over 20,000 citizens, but only 791 folks voted in the last municipal election. We can do better than that. We have to do better than that if we want to see progress and if we want to see change. I also would ask anyone who would like to volunteer. We're doing everything we can possibly do. We're canvassing. We are, we're in the community. We're going to festivals. We are doing everything possible to get the word out, because a lot of people didn't even know that that this was even happening, that the municipal election was happening. So if you would like to volunteer, please let me know. Please reach out. I would love to have as many volunteers as possible to help spread the word and help get people excited about voting. 6 days left until the general election on November 2nd. So I encourage you, City Hall, Someone else said city council, city hall. That is true. When you think city council, go to city hall and vote. Sugar Hill City Hall address is 5039 West Broad Street. So please get down there. Please vote for me for post 2.
Thank you. And we do have for each candidate, we just letting y'all know if you're in Loganville, Snellville, the banner at the bottom telling them where to go to vote and how to contact the hall to check their eligibility, because we don't want them people thinking they get blocked for being voted in the election.
And also, Edward, if they do go to sos.ga.gov to my voter page, the address of each of the city halls is there. So you can go to your personal page, put in your information, and the address of each city hall is there and available for everyone to see. So do not get confused. If you in Sugar Hill, don't try to go to Suwannee. Don't try. Check out the address and get it clear. Some of these places have moved. So again, you can go to my voter page and get that information for each address after we're over. And the next person, Edward, who's our next person for their elevator speech?
Miss Rosa Steele, you're up next. You on mute? There you go.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity this evening. I enjoyed listening to the other candidates, and what I'm hearing is that we all have the same challenge. So it would seem. So what I would like to say to my Loganville family is, please do not sit this election out. It's just too important. You have to have a say in this. This is about your city. So in order to have a say, you have to go to the polls and vote. And Ms. Shania Rivers Divine and myself would like to occupy 2 of those 3 seats that's open in Loganville on the city council in order to address the issues that we've expressed and discussed tonight, and that we've heard from so many of you that feel need to be addressed the traffic issues, reinvigorating Main Street, walkable green space. I mean, just a variety of things. We can't do it if you don't vote. We need you to go to the polls. As the other candidates have said, Friday, the 29th is the last day for early voting. The next chance you will have to make your choice known is November the 2nd from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Go to your My Voter page, sos.gov, My Voter page, and check to make sure where you need to go and vote, because there's still some shenanigans going on. So just check that information before you head out the door to go vote. But please just vote. Have a say in what happens in your city. It's your city. It's your home. Thank you.
Thank you. And like I said, if you're in Loganville, look like you all will go to Rock Gym. Y'all actually don't go to the actual city hall. Y'all actually is at Rock Gym. Is where you would go and vote, the historic Rock Gym. And if you're a Loganville resident. All right, Miss Sherry Villa, I'm coming to you next. All right, give the people reason to come vote for you tomorrow, Friday, or next Tuesday.
And I think we've all stated throughout this forum why it's so important to vote. And again, reiterating those same key points: representation of you, not just of those that live in my direct neighborhood, but of this entire community. There's no reason why we shouldn't want all of Lilburn to be just as beautiful as some of Lilburn. So I just want to bridge that gap between the communities and have everyone participate, have an active role in making decisions in terms of who is elected to city council. But that takes the help of the entire community and getting out there to spread the word. I ask for volunteers. If you are one of my members that are running for office or candidates for different cities, if you have resources that you know of, please share them with the rest of us. this is a community within Gwinnett. So I don't want even our cities to be divided. I hope that we can work together as a county to help each other, to support each other, to get into these seats that are so important. You've lived in the city long enough, you know what our issues are. Traffic, expansion that just seems like it's happened overnight, and making sure that our resources are equipped to handle the growth and population that we've seen occur, helping to support our local businesses that are in existence, not just building new. So these are all things that I think that we want as a collective in Lilburn, and it's going to take a collective effort to do that. So I need you to collectively come out and vote for me, Sherry Vila, running for city council here in Lilburn, Post 4. And also Dan Bollinger has those same ideas that I share. He's running for Post 3. Let's get some new blood in city council and local government so that we can see new outcomes. And again, begging for volunteers to help us canvass. We've not reached as many people as we want to door. So all resources that we can get, we would appreciate sincerely. Thank you.
And I would say this, Lilburn was one of the areas we already canvassed during the summer. So we did, the Gwinnett NAACP did come to Lilburn, Georgia to do some canvassing. So we did help the people out to make them aware of this municipal election. So any areas y'all may not have covered, we did come there and hit a lot of areas. We knocked on over 3,000 doors in Gwinnett for the municipal election to make people aware of the vote, especially African American and Black people in those some of those cities that we went to. But Lilburn was one of the cities we went to. All right, Ms. Hardrich. Last but not least, for the Snellville City Council candidate, tell us why the people in Snellville need to come out and vote.
Yes, thank you again. My name is Katherine Hardrich, and I'm running for Snellville City Council Post 5. And I'm a mother, I'm a disabled veteran, I'm a 20-year resident of Snellville. And I am running because I want to continue to serve my community by advocating for policies that will bring about inclusive and equitable changes in the community. I want to create a more diversified leadership, a more diversified representation in leadership. And I will work to earn the trust of our citizens by being more accountable, transparent, and accessible. So for a vote for CAT is a vote for a stronger community, accountability, and transparency. And I'm asking for citizens to vote for me so that we can have equitable representation, not only in our ethnicities, but having our disabilities, or as I like to say, altered abilities, right? So as a disabled veteran, I feel like veterans' voices are not heard and represented because we have a lot of struggles. Our youth, we need somebody to advocate for our youth and make sure we have programs for our youth that we can start early with job training and civic engagement. We have to start before they get to high school with these things, learning different languages and empower our children so they can have actual activities and resources that will encourage them to live a positive life and increase their quality of life with those positive resources, and partner with our seniors. Our seniors have so much to offer, and we need to not only just have senior buildings and activities, but bring them back into the community where they can pour into all that wisdom that they have. I would love to have the seniors married with our youth so that they can partner and pour into these youth who are yearning for that. We could partner with all these nonprofits doing that. So I'm asking for your support so we can make those things happen. And I only can do that with your help. In spite of what popular belief may tell you, this is your city. And you have the voice and the right to determine how it is governed. So I'm asking each and every citizen in Snellville to cast your vote. Like Mr. Edwards said, you have 2 more days this week. And then November the 2nd is your last day to vote at Snellville City Hall from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I am asking for volunteers as well. Like I said, we've touched over 1,100 people with phone banking and door knocking. And I am out there meeting the citizens, shaking their hands, listening to their concerns. And I want to continue doing that with continuing meeting with those citizens. So I need your help to make that happen. And so I'm asking for everyone to come on out and let everyone know that this is your city and you will not let it go without being heard yourself. So let your voices ring loud on November 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Right now, I'm gonna thank all our guests for coming on. We appreciate y'all coming out tonight and definitely giving the people a reason to, why they need to be participating in these municipal election. As the Gwinnett NAACP PAC chair, we'll continue to do our part as the Political Action Committee to continue to educate people about why they need to be involved in this election. Again, we've done phone banking for Snellville. Snellville, unfortunately, due to time constraints and resources, we wasn't able to get there to canvas, but we have been phone banking in Snellville. We did canvas in places like Lawrenceville, Loganville, unfortunately, Grayson, even though they didn't end up having an election, Lilburn, Norcross. So we've been trying to do our part about getting the people out. We may have to add Sugar Hill, I guess, to the list, as we do have candidates running there, African-American candidates running there. Again, like I said, thank you all for coming on. As I stated on a previous broadcast, I think the future of this country will lie at the local and state level, since so many things are getting tied up in bureaucracy at the federal level. And I think based on everything we've heard tonight about these funds and resources coming down from the federal level that are not, the public is not being made aware, the current city council are not letting people know about these things, and not coming up with a strategic plan to what they're going to do to improve a lot of the issues in terms of housing, instability in a lot of these communities or streets. I think they gave y'all more than enough reason why y'all need to be out voting and electing candidates that will be transparent with any federal funds that are coming down that's supposed to be going to underserved communities that's within that city. Again, thank everyone for coming on. I'm going to let President Poole and Adrian have the final word. Again, my name is Edward Paul, the Political Action Committee Chair and First Vice President. Again, thank everyone for coming out. President Poole, I'll let you and Adrian have the final word.
I want to say thank you to all the candidates. I personally want to thank you for running. With the conditions that we have, so many people feel that someone else needs to do what needs to be done. So just for the fact that you have registered and applied, thank you for running. I want to make sure that when people go out to vote, that they have their proper ID, that they vote early, because there are many new rules, so that if you are prepared, you will not have any issues voting. And again, and I want to emphasize, the site is mvp.sos.ga.gov, mvp.sos.ga.gov. If anyone is unsure of where your voting location is, please go to that site, put in your information, and it has the list of all the municipal areas that voting will be held. Thank you. And at this point, if there are any questions, did we have any questions from our audience? I saw we had responses and people touched on about education. There was a question about transportation. Is that something that any of you want to touch on, if you know that your city has an agenda for transportation?
Well, for me, I do want to say thank you, President Madam Poole, for allowing me to speak, and Mr. Paul and everyone, thank you for tonight. I really appreciate it. And in my platform, since transportation is a county issue, that, the MARTA and so forth, that's a county issue, but I would like to see an extension of bus routes in Snellville. The citizens have mentioned that they would like to see that more in the area, and that is something I would like to advocate for, because that's what the citizens are telling me that they want. They want to be able to, two things, get around easier within Snellville and protect the planet, because we have less cars on the road. So I'm an advocate for that. I believe in that. And so I would like to support our citizens who would like to see that in Snellville.
Great. Also, again, and not to be redundant, the ARPA funds that are coming down, those funds can explicitly take care of some of those bus routes, or take care of transportation if senior citizens needed to go to different places. So yes, the transportation issue does touch at a municipal level also with these funds that are available. So please keep that in mind. And there was also a question about jobs. About jobs. Are there any type of job training referendums that are underway in any of your areas? And please, let's get a 1 minute answer.
So this is Katherine again. No, I do not know of a training referendum in our ordinances now. However, that is something, as I mentioned earlier, job training for our youth, right? Because our youth need something productive to do. And maybe we can find jobs as early as 14. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and I actually been working since I was 14, and I was proud to have my $66 a week. I was happy, and it kept me out of trouble. Same thing with having a outreach program. It was called East Grand. It was at a church, and we would go there and have things to do. So I'm a real big advocate for making sure we have something positive for our young people. You know, they say the average age for crime, you know, it taps into them young. So we have to give them something positive. And again, there are a ton of nonprofits who need to get that money so that they can continue doing what they're doing, and we can partner with them, we can support them, and we can make sure they get funding so that they can continue to do the good work that they're doing.
Thank you. Any other questions from our audience?
No additional questions that I see. I think you pretty much hit them all.
Well, let's pass this over to our secretary. I would like to personally thank Edward and Adrian, who have been working to get this put together. We want to thank all our concerned citizens who reached out to us to make sure that we could present this platform for those who are running. Because again, one of the biggest problems with this election is that no one knows that these municipal elections are happening. And your Gwinnett NAACP, prior to COVID, has been diligently working to help get that turned around. And I also want to give a shout out to a partner, Galeo, who worked with us on one of these instances. So it's not just been us; it has been other organizations in the community. Again, I applaud you. We wish you all well. Secretary Adrian Johnson, give you the last word, and if you would close us down.
Thank you so much, Madam President. Again, I would like to thank each and every one of you candidates for joining us this evening. I would like to thank each and every one of our members and the community and the public at large for joining us. And also, we would be remiss if we did not give a shout out and a big thank you to former Georgia State Senator, Attorney at Law, and Vice Chair of Public Affairs of the Gwinnett Democratic Party, Mr. Kurt Thompson, for helping us to organize this event. So we are very thankful for his partnership and his help in helping us to pull this together with all these candidates. And I hope that everyone has enjoyed this event. Again, we thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy schedules, because we know that there's so many other things that you could be doing on a Wednesday evening, but we're glad that you chose to spend a part of your evening with us. We did run over just a little bit, but our votes are important. Our voices are important. So I don't think 2 hours out of one of your evenings should just make that big of a difference in the future of your city and your local municipality. So I think it's very important that we do forums and other events like this. So if all hearts and minds are composed, please join me in prayer as we close this evening. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for another opportunity to worship and praise your holy name. Lord, we thank you for these candidates that want to make a difference in the lives of your people. Lord, we thank you for the Gwinnett NAACP that is striving to do what's in the best interest of the members and the community at large. Lord, we thank you for everyone that has decided to join us this evening. Lord, we pray that each and every household that is represented here will continue to be blessed and protected and provided for. Lord, we ask that you just keep your grace and mercy covering each and every one of us. And Lord, it is in your son, Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. And thank you
Good night,
again for a
everyone.
great
Thank you again.
nonpartisan event. Thank you.